All right, thank you so much all for joining me in this video lecture. I'm not going to wait further. If anyone wishes to join, they can join between further as well. So this question or this specific topic is relevant from both papers' point of view. So this is the reason why I have asked the students of paper one to join this lecture as well. Okay. So I'm not going to wait further. Before starting this lecture, again, as usual, the convention is that I have to ask for the confirmation of you all if my voice is completely audible to you. Can you hear me? I just need 5 or 6 confirmations. Kindly reply as yes. Are you able to listen me completely? Can you please reply, everyone? Am I audible to you completely? All right, thank you so much. I have got the confirmation from more than 6 students, I think, by now. So I'm going to start this, and before starting this, I would like to give a brief description of this. Okay, this specific topic is going to about sampling, and sampling is very important, not for paper one, for paper two as well, irrespective of your actual stream of paper two, whether you are a student of commerce, economics, even English, or any subject. You have to understand, you have to go through from this specific topic, and for paper one, this has been clearly written in your syllabus. So this topic is very important. Number of times the question is has been asked from this specific topic, and its probability is very high. The only thing which is necessary to go through is the types of sampling. Okay, and whatever next comes, we shall learn it under hypothesis testing. Okay, so now I'm just going to share the screen so that you can see what we have prepared for this specific lecture. So this is going to be about sampling. Let me check if this is in a recorded version. Yeah, that's being recorded so that we can deliver you after the lecture. All right. So this topic is about sampling, and we shall study about different techniques and tools of sampling, how the sampling is done. First of all, you have to understand its concept and subject matter. What is this? Okay, so sampling is very simple. We are studying about research. Okay, we are studying about this specific syllabus or specific book, you can say, or specific topic. This is a research. Number of researches are being conducting nowadays, as you know, and each and every research scholar has to find something new, because this is the crux of research. And for every research, there is a defined population. There is a defined population. Let me make you clear the meaning of this, because even I have experienced that the students of even a post graduations are not cleared about what a population means. They think as the population of the country. It's not right. Okay, let me tell you. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 very simple examples. I am doing the research in the subject of finance. So for me, the population is Indian finance market. Okay, this is the complete population. For me, the population means NSE, Nifty, okay, BSE, Sensex, okay, then number of stock exchanges, then it can be FDI, it can be interest rate, it can be FIIs, okay, these are my complete population. I have to choose the topic taking into mind this population, because my area of research is this. Okay, in the same way, some students in my university are doing the research in the area of human resources. Okay, human resources. Then what shall be population from their point of view? From their, like, they are choosing the topic of motivation or the role of women's in workforce. These kind of topics are being chosen by them. Okay, so because their core area is human resources, for them the population is the housewives. Okay, then the different people, okay, to whom they have to deliver their questionnaire. So their population contain all these peoples. So in this way, for a researcher, the population is different. For everyone, the population is different. Okay, I hope you have got the complete idea of what population is from the point of view of a specific research. Okay, for me, population is different. My population is different. Your population can be different. Uh, if you are a marketing personnel or marketing student, if you are going to conduct the research on marketing subject, then your research field or population shall be different. Maybe it contains only consumer of a specific product. That can be your population. Okay, so in this way, first of all, you must know how to categorize your population. This is a complete population. Okay, and now you have understood the meaning of the word population from the point of view of research. Now I am going to tell you sample. It's never ever possible to study the complete population. I cannot study. You cannot study. If we start studying this, that shall be known as a census study, and that it take years, 10, 20, 30, these many years. We only take sample from our population. Okay, so we take sample and we conduct our study, conduct our research on our sample, and then we generalize it. Okay, you remember I taught you the objective or the characteristics of the research. That was a generalization. What was that? What results you have found on samples, you must be able to generalize it to the whole population. You could be able to say that what I have found on a specific sample, yes, this applies to my population as well. You should be able to answer that. You should be able to tell that this is generalization. So now I hope you would have understood the meaning of a population and the sample. And now again, I'm making this circle. This is my complete population, and this sample I have to take. Okay, this sample I have to take. So the process of choosing the sample, the process of choosing the sample is known as sampling. Now you would have understood the meaning of sampling. Okay, so that is complete population. This is my sample area, what I have defined. So choosing my sample, which element shall be part of my sample? I have to choose sample from the population. Which element of the population shall be part of my sample? The process of choosing that element is known as sampling. This is the very easy to understand, and I hope you would have understood by now, because what I have given you description or complete elaboration of three items, that was population, then sample, and then sampling. If you have understood what I wish to taught you in this slide, then the upcoming slides are going to be very easy for you. And this specific topic is interesting as well. So there are some terminologies, samples I have already taught you. Okay, the part of the population on which you are going to conduct your study. Then there is sample size. Suppose the population contains 100 elements or 100 items. Sample size means the size of your sample. From these hundreds, how many elements you are going to take? You may be going to take 10 elements only, or 12 element, or 15, or 20, or 25, and this is known as your sample size. Then sampling frame. Okay, sampling frame simply means all collection of all the elements of sampling. All the elements of list of all the elements of sample, of your sample, sorry. So this is known as sampling frame. Sampling frame means list of individual or people included in the same. This is. And then this is sampling technique. Technique of selecting the sample from the population is known as a sampling technique. And there are only two types of sampling techniques which have specifically been given in our syllabus that we have to understand, we have to go through. So this was all about the concept of sampling. Again, I am recalling the things I have taught you about population. I have taught you about small sample. I have taught you about sample size. Okay, then I have taught you about sample frame. Then I have taught you about sampling techniques, which is further going to be categorized by now. Okay, so I hope you are listening me very carefully, and this is going to be very interesting. So there are some types of sampling. Types or types of techniques of sampling, it can also be said. These are only two. Okay, the first, probability sampling. Probability sampling. The second is non-probability sampling. Probability sampling. So this is okay. So these are the two types of sampling. In this slide, I'm not going to explain this because in the upcoming slides, each and everything shall be explained in detailed manner. So these are some types. In this slide, I have written only the types. We have to go through from individual slide of individual type under probability sampling. The first is a simple random, then stratified random sampling, then systematic sampling, then cluster, then multi-stage sampling. Okay, then in case of non-probability sampling, there is purposive sampling, convenience sampling, snowball sampling, then quota sampling. So now we have to understand about the probability sampling. In every slide, I shall make this circle, and you should be able to comprehend why I am making this. This is a population. Population from the point of view of a researcher. Population not of India. Okay, population from the point of view of a specific research. Suppose this is my population. Okay, so I have to choose sample. If and there are 100 elements, 100 different elements, or you can say there are 100 different persons are there. If each and every person has equal chance of being selected, okay, understand the line I'm telling to you. If each and every single element has equal chance of being selected without any bias, without any bias or prejudice, this system is known as probability sampling. Okay, this is probability sampling. That means if there are 100 elements, that means each and every element has the probability of 1 divided by 100. The second element, again 1 divided by 100. The third, again, this is 1 divided by 100. Each and every element has the non-probability of being selected. Okay, so this is how you should be able to understand this. So probability sampling is a type of sampling where each member of a population has non-probability of being selected in the sample. So this is about this. Now we have to move further for its complete details. So this is a simple random sampling. Again, I am making this circle. Okay, suppose there are in total only 10 elements. Suppose 10 elements are there. Okay, if I randomly choose any element, like first of all, I am choosing this, and after that I am choosing this, after that I am choosing this, then this, and I have taken the sample of 5 elements. Okay, so this is known as a simple random sampling. Like each and every element had the equal chance of being selected, but I chose randomly these. Okay, this is known as simple random sampling. In simple random sampling, the member of samples are selected randomly and purely by chance. Okay, purely by luck. I have chosen first one, then seventh, then fifth, then second, then 10th. This is purely by chance. I had not any kind of criteria. Okay. The members are randomly selected without specifying any criteria for selection. This is simple random sampling. So the next one, this is stratified random sampling. Stratified random sampling. Okay, so there are in total 100 elements in the complete population. Okay, what I do as a researcher, what I do, I make strata. Strata means subgroups. So this is group one. So this is group second, group of elements. Okay, so this is group third, this is group fourth, this is group fifth, this is group sixth, and the elements between these subgroups are homogeneous. Okay, homogeneity, I hope you understand. Okay, homogeneity means similarity on any basis. Similarity. Okay, the elements between these subgroups are similar in one or other characteristics. Okay, I have made this strata, and after making this strata, I am choosing the elements randomly. Again, randomly. How randomly? Randomly this, like this, simple random sampling. So if I am converting my population into different subgroups, and after making those subgroups, I am selecting the elements from each subgroup randomly, then this will be known as a stratified random sampling. And its most important characteristics is that the elements within the subgroup are similar or homogeneous. Okay, so this is the system. In stratified sampling, first the population is divided into subgroup, and then the subgroups are selected randomly. So this has very close relationship with the simple random sampling. Okay, very close relationship. How? Because in stratified, first of all, you make complete subgroups of the population, and after making the subgroups, you just apply this technique, simple random sampling. So I hope you would have understood that completely. Now this is a systematic sampling. This is also a part of a probability sampling. I must tell you how the things are done. So there are complete population of 100 items, and I have to choose only 10 elements as my sample. Okay, 10 elements. So what I do, each and every element has the equal chance or equal probability of being selected. What I do, I choose one. Okay, firstly, then after I choose the another at a fixed interval. Okay, fixed interval. So I tell you how these are done. Okay, suppose there are 100 different elements. First of all, I choose first, then I choose 11th, then I choose 21st, then I choose 31st, then I choose 41st. So I am choosing the elements after different intervals. This is known as a systematic sampling. Okay, so in systematic sampling, a member occurring after a fixed interval is selected. So this was complete description about systematic sampling. By now, we have understood about three. Okay, simple random, in which simply randomly the sample are taken. In this, stratas are made and simple random technique is used. In systematic, the samples are chosen at fixed interval. So now we move further. This is cluster sampling. Okay. So in cluster, again, the segments are made for the population. These are the segment. Okay. These are the segment. These are the complete segments. Okay. A population, like stratified sampling, clusters are made. Okay. Clusters are made. Clusters are made, and again, the simple random technique is applied. Now you would be confused here. Why? Because it seems that the cluster sampling is very similar to stratified sampling, but there is a very minor difference. Okay. I told you about homogeneity and similarity between the subgroups. subgroup or clusters. Okay, so in a stratified sampling, the researcher divides the population into homogeneous subgroups on the basis of similar characteristics like age, sex, profession, religion, and so on. Okay, but in case of a cluster sampling, it's not taken into consideration. Okay, homogeneity is not taken into consideration. Maybe there is a cluster in which the people fall of different age groups. Some are children, then there are adult, then adolescents, then old people. So these are there. A cluster can contain it. But in case of stratified, what was there? Homogeneity is taken consideration, even if it not possible to the full extent, but still the homogeneity is taken into account in case of a stratified sampling. So this is about cluster sampling and stratified sampling. I hope you have got the difference. In cluster sampling, the researcher does not divide population into cluster randomly after and select naturally occurring subgroups or clusters of the population. So he selects randomly the subgroups. Okay, he does not try to make any kind of specific homogeneity or similarity between the elements of the population. Then this is multi-stage sampling. Multi-stage sampling. Okay, so what is this? First of all, this is a complete population. Okay, it contains so many elements. Suppose this case of sampling is done when the population is extremely large, containing thousands and thousands of elements in the population, and all the other techniques seems to be not that much relevant or viable, but this seems to be very viable. In this, what happens? First of all, clusters are made. Big clusters are made because the population is very large. And after making the clusters, again, the clusters are made within the clusters. So within clusters, some clusters are made. Okay. And homogeneity, if possible, from the point of view of a researcher, then homogeneity can be there. Otherwise, there is no homogeneity. So cluster between the clusters are made, and the samples are selected randomly from these subclusters. This is known as multi-stage sampling. So in this sampling, complex form of cluster sampling, in multi-stage sampling, each cluster sample is further divided into smaller cluster, and members are selected from each smaller cluster randomly. So this is about the multi-stage sampling. Only this is the reason why this is known as multi-stage, because the clusters are further categorized into different clusters. So I hope you have understood about probability samplings by now, because these kind of specific types are sometimes asked, like stratified and clusters have been asked a number of times because students are not able to understand its difference sometimes. And this is the reason why I have given a complete description of these. So now we have to move further to non-probability sampling. I have already taught you about the probability sampling techniques, and this is the next types of techniques of sampling which we have to use in order to check our sample. Okay, so what happens in the non-probability sampling? This is a very simple case. Okay, what happens here? If the elements in the population they don't have equal chance of being selected, if all the elements in the populations do not have equal chance of being selected in the sample, then this case is known as non-probability sampling. Okay, so this is a complete population of mine, and this includes 100 elements, and if they do not have the equal chances or probability of being selected, then this will be the case of non-probability sampling. Okay, so now we have to go through from the different types under the non-probability sampling. The first is purposive sampling. Okay, so what is purposive sampling? This is, we are going to select the elements, only those elements which fulfill the purpose of our study. Okay, purpose of our study. Suppose there is a population of 100 elements. Okay, but the researcher have found out that only first, then 25th, then 35th, then 40th, then 49th or 73rd, only they can fulfill the purpose of his study. Then if he select the elements only on the basis of his purpose, then this kind of sampling shall be known as purposive sampling. Okay, so it is a type of sampling where members for a sample are selected according to the purpose of the study. So now we move further. This is convenience sampling. This is the sampling in which the elements are selected on the basis of convenience of the researcher. Okay, very simple example I'm going to give you. Suppose in the complete population there are 100 elements, and due to laziness or any other reason, or for any other reason, what happens? This is the simple case. For any reason, if the researcher is not going to select on the basis of randomization, but only on the basis of his convenience. Okay, so if he select the elements on the basis of his convenience, then this kind of research shall be known as sampling, shall be known as convenience sampling. Suppose the 91st or 83rd, then 75th are very close to me, then I choose these as my sample. Okay, so that can be known as of convenience sampling. Okay, so this is how the convenience sampling is done. In this case, the researcher feel lazy or any kind of other reason can be there, and they feel it convenient to choose the sample which are nearby them. So it is a type of sampling where members of sample are selected on the basis of convenience accessibility. Okay, so I have taught you about purposive and convenience sampling. The third one under the non-probability sampling is the snowball sampling. This is also known as chain sampling. Okay, this is a very simple process of getting samples. How this is done? I tell you that this is a very simple case. Suppose we have taken one one element or one respondent. Okay, in the complete population there are 100 or more than 100 elements, and we have chosen this particular man as our first respondent or as our first sample from the population, and we take interview of him. And while giving interview, then he told us that he can refer some other respondents or some other persons as well. Okay, I can refer you some other respondent. The useful information regarding your research can also be obtained from this man, can also be obtained from this man, this can also be obtained from this man. If the first respondent refers to the other respondents as well for the purpose of research, this will be known as chain sampling or snowball sampling. So this is a sampling where one respondent identifies another respondents from his friends or relatives. So this is the things we have to understand. I think this is the last one, and this is about the quota sampling. Okay, quota sampling we have to understand. This is the sampling in which the complete population is divided on the basis of quota. Okay, on the basis of quota. It can be, the quota can be based on age or sex or a religion or profession, ethnicity, interest, and anything. On the basis of specific characteristics, the researcher assigns the quota for the different elements. This is similar as stratified sampling. In stratified sampling or cluster sampling, I taught you how the stratas and clusters are being made. In the same way, the quotas are assigned. Elements are assigned to quotas. Okay. So in the same way, this is done. And the elements are chosen from the quota on the basis of non-probability sampling. Any of the other non-probability technique like convenience or purposive can be applied for choosing the elements from this quota. So this is known as quota sampling. In this type of sampling, the members are selected according to some specific characteristics chosen by the researcher. These characteristics serve as quota for selection of a member of the sample. So this is how the things are done under different techniques of sampling. So again, as I told you that in last we shall be going from all the techniques one by one so that we can make the perfect conclusion of today's lecture. This is simple random sampling. In this, the members are selected randomly only. Okay, randomly. Each and everyone has the equal chance of getting selected. Then in stratified sampling, the stratas are made which are homogeneous in nature. Okay, in a systematic sampling, the elements are selected after fixed interval. Then in a cluster sampling, clusters are made and the elements are selected not on the basis of homogeneity but as per random basis. Then in a multi-stage sampling, first of all, the clusters are made and in these clusters, further clusters are made and the elements are selected from these subclusters randomly. In purposive sampling, the elements are selected as per the purpose of the study. In convenience sampling, what happens? The elements are chosen on the basis of convenience to the researcher. In snowball sampling, this is a chain sampling. If you have chosen one respondent, then he helps you choosing the second respondent as well. Then in quota sampling, the population is assigned some specific quota and the elements are chosen on the basis of this specific quota. So in this way, you have to understand this topic. I hope you would have understood this very clearly because this is a very important topic to go through, and I hope you would be very regular. We faced some kind of issues, but still I have completed this lecture, and